Hey, movie fans. I'm here to talk about four topics today. First topic is I watched the new Avatar movie, Avatar Way of the Water. Let me say this. I wasn't a fan of the first Avatar movie. The characters and story just didn't do anything for me in the first movie, and I actually thought some of the dialogue in the first movie wasn't that good. And I feel like they kind of wasted some actors in that movie. I'll say this about Avatar Way of the Water. I enjoyed this one. I still don't think it's great. It's not one of my favorite James Cameron movies, and I still don't think, and I still don't, I'm still not a big Avatar fan. But overall, I actually enjoyed this one. I feel like this was an improvement over the first one. I thought this had a better story. I feel like I actually cared. I guess like I felt like actually a little bit invested in the kids and the Jake character, and there was some actual nice emotional moments, some like good family moments with the characters. So I actually felt like attached to some of the story and characters in this. And it has some great accents, especially towards the end. You can definitely see some stuff from other James Cameron movies with the accent, and visually it's stunning. It's a stunning movie like the first movie. I mean, that's one thing I can't deny about the first Avatar. It's visually stunning, and this one's definitely, especially with the water sequence, visually stunning. And I can see why this would be a movie you want to see in theaters. With the negatives with this movie is that there's some cliche stuff in this movie, especially with the teenager characters. It's like stuff I've seen a million times before. And I also felt like this movie was just repeating beats from the first movie at times with the story. Like when Jake's trying to learn from the Waller tribe, it's like that just reminds me of like stuff, like kind of the same story almost from the first movie when he's trying to learn from the Avatar people. And just like, there's just part of that I feel like could have been trimmed down too. That's another thing. This movie's like over 3 hours. I think it's like 3:15, something like that. And I feel like that whole sequence of him learning from the culture of those people, I feel like you could have trimmed that down because this movie does feel like it's a little too long. And there is at times where this movie feels more like a setup movie for what James Cameron has planned for Avatar 3, 4, and 5. And also the army guy who's the bad guy in the first movie. He's a great actor, but I didn't feel like you needed to bring his character back because that's another thing about repeating stuff where I'm like, oh, he's a bad guy again. He wants to go after Jake, and I just felt like it was repeating beats again from the first movie, and I'm afraid that I feel like they're making the same mistake the Matrix sequels did, where it's just like we gotta keep bringing back Agent Smith because he was such a popular villain in the first movie. And that's how I feel about the army guy who was the bad guy in the first Avatar. I'm like, again, this is like he was already the bad guy in the first movie, and I don't really find his character all that compelling either. So far, like he's not like one of those villains. I'm he was a fun villain in the first movie, but I didn't find him all that compelling, honestly, in this movie that much compared to the first movie. So I don't know. I would have preferred if they just kind of brought in a new bad guy and not just like brought him back. I mean, I do like how they bring him back. It makes sense how they do it, logically wise, and how it fits in the Avatar story. Another negative with this movie is Sungri Weaver. She was one of the ones I thought was wasted in the first movie. I didn't really care for her character, and I do like how they brought her back, her being part of one of the tree. But the negative of this movie is that, like I said earlier, I like all the kids, but I don't understand why she is voicing a completely different character from the first Avatar movie. And maybe they'll explain more of that in the sequels, but I was just like, it just felt weird to me because she played a completely different character in the first Avatar movie. And I was saying it's supposed to be Grace's daughter, but I feel like you could have gotten a different actress. Like, I don't understand why you need her. And it just feels off to me about her voicing a completely different character. I wasn't really a fan of that decision. I would have preferred they just got a different actress. This is a different character and not Grace from the first Avatar movie. Another negative thing with the movie is that Spider character. I didn't really care for him, and the decision he makes like towards the end, because you find out the bad guy who has an Avatar body in this movie now. He was Spider's the bad guy from the first movie was Spider's father, and I think that could have been really interesting, but you don't really see him go into that much in this movie. And the decision he makes towards the end to save him, save his father, I just didn't buy because I never cared for the Spider character. Like, he's the one kid in the group that was just kind of like outside of the Water Tribe kids, where I just didn't care for them. But Spider was like the one character in Jake and his wife's family. I was just like, I didn't care for his character. I don't really feel like his decision making later on fits with the character they set up at the beginning. So it just overall to me, he was like the weak point among Jake and his wife's kids. Where I was like, he was kind of a weak character. So overall, I enjoyed Avatar: The Way of Water. I would recommend the movie. It's not, like I said earlier, it's not great. It's not one of my favorite James Cameron movies, but I'm at least interested to see where it goes now. So, and the next thing I'm talking about is Champions. I actually enjoyed this movie. I thought this was a nice, fun comedy sports movie. Woody Harrelson's great. The whole cast is great. I mean, the comedy doesn't always land for me in this movie, but this was one of the better comedies I've seen lately. And if you're just looking for like a nice time, nice family entertainment movie with some funny moments, I would check it out. It's not going to be one of my favorite movies this year. It's not one of those ones I'll go back and rewatch again, but it's worth checking out once. It's like a nice family entertainment movie. The next thing I'll talk about is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Let me say this: I was actually excited by this idea because how ridiculous it is. I know they did a Grits one last year called the Me one, and I haven't seen that one. Probably watch it at some point. But yeah, this movie's pretty bad. I mean, the idea is ridiculous, but there's a lot of problems with this movie. Let me say this: the one positive about this movie, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, is that I like the animated open sequence where they show what happens to Winnie and his friends, and show that he ate one of them. So I thought the opening animated sequence was cool. It actually got me interested in the idea, like the story, but it goes straight downhill after that opening animated sequence. All the characters are just like terrible characters. I didn't care for one of them at all. Bad dialogue, and I know this is low budget, but it looks so low budget and cheaply made to the point where it really shows. And overall, it's just a bad movie. Dialogue, character wise, story wise. I never care about the characters. There's no like interesting kills in this movie either. So it's like nothing stands out. And it's just a very bad, low budget, cheaply made movie. So yeah, I can't recommend Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I would definitely not watch this. And this would be one of the worst movies of this year, personally, for me. And next thing I'm talking about is a Hellraiser franchise. So let me say this: I like the first two Hellraisers. I like the Hellraiser movie from 2022. But I think the reason why I haven't loved the Hellraiser movie yet is because I don't think there's been a great main character. Like when I think of franchises I love, Alien, Halloween, Terminator, Nightmare. You have Laurie Strode, Nancy, you have Ripley, you have Sarah Connor. These are all characters that I love and that are just like, compelling, interesting. And I like the Christine character from the first two Hellraiser movies. I know she made a cameo in Hellraiser 3 and then came out for Hell sequel, one of the later on ones. But I don't love her character. Like, she's always been one of those characters I'm like, she's not one of my favorite main characters in the franchise. Like, she's fine. But I never found her character to be all that memorable. And not that she's a big character. It's just one of those characters where I'm like, she's fine. She's good enough for those. Her character's good enough in those Hellraiser movies. Not anything special or staying out. And I like the Wally character from the 2022 film too, but I don't think she was like a standout character. And I think that's the thing with the Hellraiser movies for me is that I don't think there's been a great main character go against Pinhead. Like for me, there's not an iconic character in the franchise, and it's just, like Doug Bradley's great as Hellraiser. Actually, played Hellraiser, played Pinhead in 2012 was great, but I don't think there's been a great character go up against Pinhead so far in the franchise. That's just this is one of my thoughts of why I feel like for me personally there has been a great Hellraiser movie yet. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that topic. See you next time, movie lovers.